Hi, this is iYikKam time again. So, those of you who follow me on my YouTube since April 27, 2017, you can see I'm keeping releasing information both in Asia and the West, and keeping get all this scientific, systematic stuff released to public. And the reason is that Wing Chun need to reform, and this is really serious. Wing Chun do not want and cannot afford to hit the turning point such as the Tai Chi people get into on the April 27, 2017. If Wing Chun hit into one of those kind of turning point, it's going to go down and you cannot recover. So it is like a technology, the Silicon Valley. You can have a company, you hit the turning point, you go down, and then you just don't have the momentum to come back up. And it just turns belly up, okay? So that's critical, and luckily in Wing Chun, in the West, we have a lot of people who is really scientific and can be reasoned, okay, and can accept what I present as the college or university formal education type of informations or scientific type of informations. So that is a plus here, okay, for Wing Chun. Now, saying here, before I continue, I like to ask whoever do not take what I'm saying on WCWest open source and doing it in a university scientific way, to do not continue watch this YouTube, okay? Because this YouTube is not for you, and don't waste your time, okay? Now, when we talk about Wing Chun, we need to understand the reality of human world and the society, evolutions of society and technology and so forth. Okay? It is nothing to do with who is right, who is wrong. It is just that way. For example, if we go to New York, for example, okay, New York or any big city, you can see that building continues, the older building continues to get tear down, okay, rebuilt from the same foundations, okay, tear down, rebuild and change and so forth, okay. If you go to New York, you can see that all building renew stuff, and it's always going on, it never stops. Okay? That is the reality of human life, human world. Technology. And when the building is served its purpose, it need to take down, it need to take down, it need to grow from the same foundation. Okay? Same with Wing Chun. And we now hit a point that this really tall, nice building, but it has served its purpose and we need to expand. That's the timing for Wing Chun now. Okay? So, many things I like to explain you today that has to go. Okay? It has to go. Because as the old building, you need to tear down the 4-storage big building to build the 25 or 30 storage building. And later on, maybe 40 years later, this 30 storage building need to get tear down to build 100 storage building. It's just a fact of life. Thing progress. Okay? this is one thing I want you guys to know. This is not about who's right, who's wrong, or whose way. This is just how humans live, because everything progress. You don't have one building stay there forever, okay? You don't have those. If you have those, this become a museum. Museum is for that thing, okay? Now, the second thing is, imagine if we go to camping. We will have a map and we will know the forest, okay, the entire forest, and we know where we want to go. And we know the trees around the place we are going, or we're going to reside there or camp there, okay? We need to know that. Otherwise, we're going to get lost in the forest and we don't even know where we are. And also, we need to know the trees surround our camp area really, really clearly. Otherwise, we have no idea what it is. Okay? So, saying this two examples, put in your mind. Okay? First is the building has to renovate, has to rebuild. When it serves its purpose, it has to go. That's how human life is about. Okay? Because you need to rebuild better building. The second, if we go to camping in the forest, we need to know the forest and the tree. Okay? Now, let's get into Wing Chun. The issue of Wing Chun in past 100 years is get stuck in techniques or the outer shape. Bear in mind that since the Opium War around 1830 until today, Chinese culture is in chaos situations, going through internal war, going through all this revolution, cultural revolutions and whatever, okay? So, many things is no longer what the people before that think about. Same with martial arts, okay? So, today's our job is to bring back whatever it is. For example, like the General Chi Guang's descriptions of martial arts and the teaching of the martial arts, the art and the science, and the Shaolin art and the science, back to today. And because those stuff are really scientific, pragmatic, efficient, effective, it fits to today's scientific world. So you can argue with me and say, oh, what do you mean by efficient, effective? Well, let me ask you questions. When General Chi Guang has to put his men on the line versus the samurai sword of the Japanese pirate, do you think that is a sport? Or as in the history, you can see the entire army can get wiped out. Okay? So if this is not pragmatic, scientific, getting result, it will not be there. It is a war. It is not a sport. Okay? Now, saying this, let's come back to the techniques again. In past 100 years or so, in Wing Chun, techniques has been really distorted. You have people who have no understanding of what's going on and keeping just interpret whatever they like into the techniques. They say, oh yeah, this look like this look like this, this look like this, so everything's look alike. And then you have all kind of interpretation. When the thing come to West, the same thing, okay? And even worse, there are many people who just go Google thing and say, oh yeah, this is the same, this is the same, this is the same, without knowing what it is. Okay? Now I want to show you two examples why things screw up so big time when you talk about techniques. You know, in Southern Chinese martial art, there is this so-called sun fist, okay, sun punch, as you say in Wing Chun, okay. This is called sun arrow punch, okay. This is called arrow punch, okay, in some Southern Chinese martial art, okay. Sun arrow punch. Okay? This is Wing Chun sun punch. Are they the same? Well, to many it's the same. Well, no, you can get into this. Okay, let me tell you this. Oh, this one is like the sun character. And then this is the sun punch of Wing Chun. And this is the sun punch of Honga. And Honga sun punch and Wing Chun sun punch is the same sun punch. And then when people say, no, 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 it's not the same, you say, what the heck are you talking about? It is the same, the sun character. Well, you get into this kinds of thing. Because it's all explicitly formed. One have no idea that this belongs to the long fist. And the Wing Chun sun punch belongs to short strike. And by the way, Wing Chun sun punch is not like this too. It's not like that. That's not Wing Chun sun punch. This is pushing up, this is not Wing Chun sun punch. This is a long fist sun punch. This is not Wing Chun sun punch because this kind of thing cannot generate the power it needed. This is not Wing Chun sun punch. So what is my point? My point is because the person has no idea on the momentum type of Wing Chun, have no idea in the momentum characteristics of Wing Chun. And thus, this is sun punch. This is sun punch. This is sun punch. Well, are you serious? This is all sun punch? Both of them are not sun punch. Not Wing Chun sun punch. They are sun punch, but they are not Wing Chun sun punch. Okay? Now, I'll explain to you why it is not Wing Chun sun punch later. The second thing is this. You see people do chi sao. Okay? Chi sao. And then they get into this circular kind of stuff. Okay? Okay, you push me, I go in and come back and all kinds of this thing. And they say that, oh, this is internal way of internal Fajing way of Wing Chun internal art. Again, this is techniques with the so-called energy, Wing Chun energy, internal energy. Is this Wing Chun at all? No. Why? When the minute you do this kind of thing, okay, you come and you go back and come back and then you avoid it and come back, you know what is this? This is long face stuff. Wing Chun is what? Wing Chun is a short strike. Wing Chun don't do this kind of stuff. Wing Chun don't stay in this distance. Wing Chun get in here. Because it is the short strike up. Okay? So, with these two examples, this is the most general example on, yeah, you know, this is sun punch, this is sun punch. Oh yeah, this is an internal Wing Chun. You know, my body has to be turned like this, like this. You know, when you push me, I'm going this way and come back and those kind of stuff. You know, push me, going back and come back. With this type of example, you can see why it is a mess now. Okay? So, you need to clean up. If it's not clean up, we all lose. So I'm saying things here, not because of me. It's because of Wing Chun. Do you know how many messages I get every day from my YouTube and my blogs? That our friend from Kyokushin, MMA, Western boxing, and BJJ telling me that, Hendrik, are you serious? They are friends, okay? Are you serious? These are kid stuff. This is fantasy. Do you know how many of them I get every week? That is serious, okay? So if we don't take ourselves seriously, we don't straighten ourselves, keeping this is some punch, this is some punch, or this is some Fa Jing, this is Wing Chun, internal. When is this going to get end? When is we going to learn the proper teaching of Wing Chun? So all this technique stuff. Oh, sun character, it looked like the Chinese character sun. It doesn't tell you anything. So, remember we talked about the demolish of the old building and we built a even taller and better building? It is time to demolish what happened in the past 100 years. Out. All this, the concept of so-called Wing Chun is Tan, Bong, Fok, and San Punch and straight line. Need to let it go. It has served its time. Like the building, like the hotel, it served 60 years already. You need to put a taller building up there, more modernized, or glasses modern building in there in order to be in the city which is keep growing. So we need to elevate ourselves, to rise ourselves to the momentum level, which is the level which is General Qi Ji Guang and whoever beyond or pre-1830 or pre-1860 presenting. That is the 60 storage skyscraper. Because right now our 4 storage home building has served its purpose. Is it good? Sure, it's good for its time, its era. But right now it's a different era. Okay? So we need to go up to momentum. Now, same with the analogy that we go to the forest. We need to know the forest and the tree. Meaning we need to know the 4 zones of the momentum, which is cover the entire momentum zone. Okay? The 4 zones of momentum. So like you go to the forest, you know the east corner of the forest, the west corner, the north, the south corner, this 4 area of the forest, you know it. Okay? You're not going to go inside there, look at the trees, and you get lost in the forest. Okay? You don't even know where we are going. And also we need to know the forest, the trees. So we know that in momentum. There's four: the long fist momentum zone, the short strike momentum zone, the takedown zone, and the ground zone. Okay? Four zone. We know that four zone. And we know the characteristic of Wing Chun, the specialty of Wing Chun, or Wing Chun special act, is at the second zone and the third zone. Okay? We need to know that. So the fourth zone is like the forest. The second zone and the third zone is like the particular trees in the forest. So we know. Okay? Now, by knowing this, then we can solve the technical two problem which is I mentioned before. See, this is in the first zone. This is in the first zone. This is, all this kind of stuff is in the first zone. Long fist zone. And we know at every zone, every momentum zone, it has its mechanics which is supporting the momentum handling of that zone, and it has its own techniques which is keeping growing, changing according to the situations and the time and the conditions. So we know that at every zone have that. And so this is a long fist with a long fist mechanic. See, my body has to move to generate the power in order to support the long fist. This is the same thing. This is a long fist momentum, long fist mechanics. How is that can be useful here, where you don't have the space? First is a different zone. It is a short strike zone, close body zone. The second, you simply do not have space to generate power like this. You don't have the space to do this. Oh, you push me, I go backward, and then I come back. You don't have that in here. So, the mechanic is completely different. Okay? Once one get into this, have a good understanding and a good experience on this four zone and the characteristic of the zone of the particular art, for example, Wing Chun is the short strike zone. One will never again to make the ridiculous claim that this is Sun Punch 2. This is Sun Punch 2. And this is Wing Chun, internal art. Internal art, Wing Chun. One will never do that because one knows, hey, come on, this type of style do not fit the Wing Chun momentum. It doesn't fit the Wing Chun momentum, and it doesn't have the mechanics to support whatever happened in the Wing Chun momentum. Sure, this look like a sun, like this look like a sun character, right? But that's not what Wing Chun is. Either you do this or you do this, it's not. So then you ask me, so what is Wing Chun Sun Punch? Wing Chun Sun Punch is this. Because Wing Chun has to use the snapping mechanics to support the short strike or close body momentum, or to support the activity within the short strike zone. Sure, I mean, this sun punch, this Wing Chun sun punch have this sun, this fist look like a sun character. This look like a sun character. And this look like a sun character too. But you right away eliminate whatever it is not because you know it is here in this zone, short strike zone. This is the Wing Chun momentum. And in here, the mechanics you can support the activity here is the snapping and the twirl. You don't have space for this, you don't have the space for this, or linear stuff for this. So, when you get up to the momentum level, the issue solved by itself. You get clear what it is. Same thing for this. You push me, I go backward, and then I rotate, come back, or backward and come back. When you are here, you don't have time for that. You don't have space for that. That mechanics is a long fist mechanics. So, when you know the momentum of Wing Chun, you eliminate this thing because you know this is not Wing Chun. By knowing the momentum, you eliminate whatever it is not supposed to be there. So it is not up to anybody's interpretations. Instead of like today, everybody said, oh, this is your interpretation, this is my belief. What is interpretation and belief got to do with the momentum over here, the action over here, the short strike, and the mechanics which need to support it? This is all law of physics. This is nothing to do with my opinion, my interpretation, or it look like a Chinese sun character. So we need to get up to the momentum level. Before we don't talk about that. For past 100 years, we don't talk about that. We talk techniques. Or it have to be, Wing Chun has to be Tan Bong Fo, has to be this and have to be that. Now, you let it go because this building already, this 4-storage building has served its purpose for good. We think and we need to get it out. Like in New York City, we need using the same place, the same land to build a 60 storage glass high-tech modern building. Otherwise you will not be able to compete and you're wasting that land. Okay? Now, so you knowing there's a 4 zone, you know that Wing Chun is special in the 2nd zone and it can carry to the 3rd zone. However, Wing Chun can handle all the 4 zones. It can handle it in all the 4 zones. It knows all the 4 zones, but it is good at the 2nd zone and can carry to the 3rd zone. We know Wing Chun is like that. Okay? Now, so when we know about this 4 zone, for example, in this long fist zone, so how is Wing Chun is going to deal with this? Wing Chun is a short strike art. How is Wing Chun is going to deal with this? So Wing Chun is going to train like a long fist art too? No, Wing Chun don't do that. Wing Chun deal with long fist, with footwork, and with the recognitions of the zone of attack. That's how Wing Chun deal with it. Wing Chun fight in the long fist zone is dealing with footwork and dealing with the knowing the fighting zone, dealing with the momentum. Instead of Wing Chun has to train the same like the long fist mechanics and so forth. Wing Chun don't do that. Okay? So you can see that Wing Chun know there's this long freeze, but Wing Chun solve it in a different way. Now, so after we know this, we need to get up to another level. Up to another level is that we know there's 4 zones. Zone 1, Zone 3, Zone 4, Zone 1, Zone 2, Zone 3, Zone 4. Wing Chun's fighting is always need to be trained so that no matter what situations, either in 1 or 3 or 4, one get back to the second zone. Because second zone is its killing zone or its destroying zone. Wing Chun is good at second zone, so it always wants to go back to the second zone. So Wing Chun trainer has to train to be able to get from the first zone to the second zone, the third zone to the second zone, the fourth zone to the second zone. That need to be trained. It is not about, in the first zone, I'm going to fight in the first zone way. In the second zone, I'm going to fight in the second zone way. In the third zone way. In the fourth zone is the fourth zone way. It is not. It is Wing Chun have its solution on this 4 zone. So again, it is not, in the long freeze zone, I have to fight in the long freeze way. In the short strike zone, short strike way. In the ground, I have to fight in the ground way. It is not that. Well, if you can do that, that's good. Nothing wrong with that. But as we know, we all human are not perfect. And you can only probably good in 1. If you can get good in 2 zones, that's good. But usually people is good only in 1 zone. That's the minimum. Okay? So, at any situations, one, if it's a Wing Chun practitioner, will get people into the second zone because that is a zone they are familiar with and good at it. So that is their world. When you get into that zone, they play you. Okay? So this needs to be known. This needs to be developed. And again, you see that it is no longer this technique, that techniques. It is about, what zone is your opponent now? First zone, I want him to get into the second zone. Or this is the third zone already, I want to get to the second zone. Or I can fight in the third zone. It's the fourth zone already, how can I get to the second zone? Or how can I intercept him before he get into this, before he can get me into the fourth zone? What I want, if he like to do 4 zone, the fourth zone, the ground zone, I know he's good in the fourth zone, and I know I'm good in the second zone. Well, between 1 to 4, that's 2, 3. Can I make him stuck in the second zone and I eat him alive? That is a question. That is the name of the game, of the training. Okay? So this is what happened. You need to be able to play within 4 zones. You know exactly what is the 4 zone. You need to play it your ways. And if you can play 2, 3 ways, you say you learn the ground art, you learn Wing Chun, that's good. Nothing wrong with that. But even for Wing Chun itself, you need to know how to play this 4 zone. Okay? And then, for the specialty within the second zone, that is where the 6-13-3, the 4 level of training, remember the map I just showed the other day? That's where you get to. Without those 6-13-3, the short strike, the 4 level, the map which I showed, one practically do not have any development in the second zone. So how are one supposed to play? One is practically have no skill. So put in a simple way, one need to have all the skill trained in the second zone and the third zone with the 6-13-3, the 4 level, and the short strike techniques and so forth, mechanics and so forth. And then one need to know about the 4 zone and how one get from one zone to the other, and how one can avoid to get to the zone, because your opponent will want you to get into his zone. Okay? So that is the name of the game. And as you see, start from this video until here, we are in the momentum level already. And momentum level support by the support by the mechanics, and techniques will vary. It's no longer I have to do tan bong fo. I have to explain everything with tan bong fo. He's long range like this. Why do I want to touch his hand? I don't. I just have to know his range of attack, and I get in with the footwork. I don't even have to do tan bong fo because I play with the momentum now. Okay. So I hope you see this. We want to boost Wing Chun to the momentum level, and we know who is good, which style is good in which zone. We know them, we know ourselves. If we like them, which is good. Say you want to go good in ground fighting, you go study ground fighting. Good. You make yourself better. Why stuck at Wing Chun? But Wing Chun has to function even without that. Okay? As General Chi Chi Guang said, what you get hit or you get struck by is the thing which you have no idea what it is. Okay? And so I hope that you see now why I want to boost everything up to the momentum level based on the 4 zone and based on Wing Chun expertise or specialty of the second zone and the third zone. And then it be able to handle all the 4 zones. And as the other day, I show you guys that Wing Chun can use the iYikKam knee, and then the Guai Ma kneeling horse knee in the ground fighting. And also, remember this? Wing Chun snap punch? You can be using in the ground. It's better than this. Okay? Or you see, people got hit like that. See, this is a distance. Wing Chun can do this. Then you say, oh, Henry, why you release this to so other people can make use of it? I said, good. If they use Wing Chun style, that means Wing Chun is within their art too. Still, you can use Wing Chun to beat me and still using Wing Chun. Why not? Right? The bottom line is to show, is this art useful or not, pragmatic or not? So this is to share with you today. And the last thing I want to share with you before we go is this. Today's 4-zone handling is based on explode type of power generations, not implode. Remember, we talked about like this. If he push me, I go in like this and come back. That's explode type. The implode type is he push me and go in. Okay? He tried to grab me, I go in. And using the implode type. And Wing Chun have this implode type of the power generation. That's why you can play in this they be gamed in this second zone and the third zone. If this in-prototype power generation being injected in today's martial art community, then it will change. Why? Because a lot of techniques in the different zone is based on assumption of the opponent is using export type of power generation. When they face, say for example, if I want to throw him, he punch me, I throw him. Okay? Export type. So when I get to here, he cannot generate power anymore, I can throw him. Now, if this guy is import type, when I try to throw him, he walk into me. Well, then I have a serious problem. Can I still throw him the way how I throw him as when I assume that he's using the export type of power generation? No, it can't. It changed the game. Okay? So, this is to share with you, and I want everybody to know. It's the time to move the momentum level. It's a time to bring the input type of power generation in. The Wing Chun mechanic, retract, pull, and everything, bring it in. Okay? To support the Wing Chun sticking body short strike zone 2. Well, people can want to strike you and take you on zone 1. Do we have to do that? No. If we look good in the zone 2 and we know how to lead it to the zone 2, we can get into the zone 2. Instead of following people, wherever they want us to go, we go with it. We don't do that. So this is to share with you today.